Is there ever a scenario when someone cusses out their girlfriend that they're not the jerk? I want to say no, but like so many of these stories have twists that I don't see coming, so like I don't know. What do you think it's gonna be? Are they gonna be a good apple or a bad apple? Happy apple picking day! Vixie's so mad at me, I moved her to her bed, but she was behind the chair and I didn't want the light in her face. You're a good girl. I know, I love you. Just a quick reminder, if you want to transfer your story to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can submit it to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And just a reminder, as we're discussing in the comments, we all come from different branches of the apple tree, meaning we're all gonna have different life experiences and perspectives, and that's going to shape our opinions. So sometimes Joe Schmo over there might have an opinion because he's just never experienced it. He's never thought of different perspectives or points of views, because why would he? He hasn't lived it. That can and will happen to all of us at some point. So like while you're discussing, you might not convince someone to change their mind because they haven't lived it. They don't understand. You might also learn something new. And that's okay. I learned something new just a week or two ago. There were so many details in the story that it just went right by me and I lost the point. It happens to all of us, and that is okay. What we're not gonna do is yell, scream, and call names. Like that's not appropriate. And if you feel entitled to do that, there's the door. We don't do that here now. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking. And I have a very important question for you at the end. Okay, let's go. Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for not letting my daughter have a certain teacher in the future? I, 26 female, volunteer at my daughter's school pretty frequently. She's in preschool and I decided to volunteer for picture day. That picture day in itself is a nightmare. All the teachers came in at once and it was like arranging a circus. The volunteers weren't given much information, just a schedule of classes coming and going. So fast forward in the day a little bit, I was trying to help direct students and teachers and keep the flow of traffic going in this very crowded hallway when this one teacher, we'll call her Karen, started yelling at me and told me that I wasn't doing my job as a volunteer. She got so impatient that she was arranging other classes and yelling at her students. I felt really embarrassed and just stood back. She was also saying how she wasn't getting a break from her class because of picture day ruining her library time. I know teachers have a lot to do and don't really take breaks, but it made me feel like she thought the kids were an inconvenience to her. I have many friends that are teachers and they love their kids and would never dream of saying anything like that in front of their students. So, am I the bad apple if I change my daughter's class if she gets her? Okay, I think a lot of people will have opinions on what I'm about to say. Like, I have two points that I want to make. First, I want to address the question. Am I the bad apple for changing my kid's teacher, blah, 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 blah. I'm never gonna give someone a bad apple just like for putting their kid in a class they thought they would thrive more in. Like I would hope a parent would take an interest in their child's future and education and like want them to be in whatever classes will set them up for success. Now, of course, we don't do absolutes. I can already hear the keyboard words. Yes, you can make so many little exceptions to the rule, like
I switched it out because that teacher's gay and I don't want them to have a gay teacher. I switched them out because that teacher's a man and I don't want them to have a man teacher.
Yes, all those parents are also gonna say,
I'm just looking out for the best interest of my kid.
but it's really like an underlying cover for just like hatred or sexism or homophobia or something like that. Like we get it. Okay? I feel like I need to preface that because anytime I make like a pretty general statement, I get so many comments with like a very niche exception that's like, well, what about this? And I'm like, that's blatantly obvious. That would be a very valid exception. Why are we opening the door for people to refute like a very general good idea? Like, I don't... It's like unnecessary and very obvious that those would be exceptions, okay? Okay. I think there's a big difference between, do I think you're valid in your idea of switching classes versus like, does it make you a bad person? Because like I, as a teacher, I got all the time, like, you're a young teacher. Is my kid gonna succeed in your class? Like, do you know what you're doing? Yeah, I knew what I was doing. Like, that's the one hill that I'll die on, okay? I don't brag about myself for much, but I was a good teacher, okay? I was. I really cared about the content, the kids, like I was a good teacher. But that doesn't mean that if a parent switched their kid out because they were worried, oh, newbie, they might not know what they're doing. That doesn't mean that I think they're a bad person, okay? Do I think some of the reasons parents switch their kids out, for the most part, again, we're not talking about the crazy exceptions, okay? But for the most part, there's a lot of reasons parents might feel the need to move their kid into a different class. Like, oh, maybe their sibling had that teacher and their sibling and that teacher didn't have a good relationship, or maybe they just favorite another teacher down the hall. Like, there's a lot of reasons, and I don't necessarily think they're all really good reasons. And I know that we're gonna have different opinions on that, okay? Because like just because I had a rocky relationship with one kid, I would never dream of like taking that and applying it to their sibling a few years later. Now I'm sure there are horror stories of people doing that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that we're gonna have different opinions on valid reasons to move your kid and not based on like what I would do in a classroom when I was a teacher and based on what you guys have seen. Like, it's okay that we have different opinions on that because we have different experiences. But even though I might think some of these reasons for moving kids are not great reasons, I don't necessarily think it makes the parent a bad person. You know what I mean? I think that they're just being mama bear or papa bear to their kids. And sometimes it's like a really good call. And sometimes I don't agree that it was a good call, but it's not my kid, so it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't think they're a bad person for it. You know what I mean? So like, I want to preface that of like, I'm gonna go good apple because no, you moved your kid because you were worried about the treatment that this teacher was exhibiting towards her students. That's your reason for moving your kid. Like, I don't think you're a bad person for that. Do I agree that in that moment, that example of behavior defines that teacher to me? No, not really. And I think a lot of us are gonna have different opinions and perspectives on that. And mine just comes from knowing picture days, like things like that. And like knowing when schools set up something that all the kids and all the teachers are supposed to go to and it's not organized well, to not the teacher's fault and not the parents and the volunteers' fault. Like, everyone's doing their best, but it just messes up the day and nothing is going right and you feel like you want to rip your hair out, and sometimes you just lose it. I've also experienced sometimes like teachers will bark out orders and they're very stern orders. I've seen other adults take that as, oh, you're yelling at them. You're just not using your teacher voice, and that's okay. Like, I actually got into it with another teacher because I was sitting there and I was talking to them like this, and she got genuinely upset and offended, and she said, I don't like the tone you're using with me. And I said, what do you mean? And she's like, you're talking to me in a very rude tone. And I said, this is how I talk. I don't know what you want. And she's like, but you're so happy and peppy when you're in front of your students. And I'm like, that's when I have a lot of energy. And that's like my teacher voice of trying to get students excited. Like, I don't sit there and talk like that all the time. Like, when I'm excited, I do. But I feel like, you know, you guys can even see in the podcast or even in Bad Apple when I'm like in the moment and telling a story or getting excited about something, but then also just like having a chill conversation, you know? Like, but this person really took me just like having a chill conversation, because I don't know, she wanted me to do something for her and I couldn't, and so I said no, and she's like, well, you didn't have to use that tone, and I'm like, I'm just talking to you. Like, I'm not, I don't know. So that just goes to say, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, that teacher, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know for sure. Like, I'm not there. I didn't hear examples of what she was saying to the kids. I didn't hear examples of, like, what she was saying to the parent or anything like that, other than, like, you're not doing your job. Which, again, oftentimes, I've seen this happen. Schools will tell teachers, like, hey, we're going to this event. The volunteers will do X, Y, Z. But then will not relay all that information to the volunteers. Like, I've seen that happen. So I can see the teacher is also like, gosh, are you helping? Come on, you still, like, please help do something. When the volunteers were not given the instructions that they should have been given. Like, again, I'm not saying that the teacher wasn't rude. I'm not saying that they were the happiest ray of sunshine in the world. I'm just saying, I don't feel like I can condemn this teacher for being the worst teacher in the world, when, like, I feel like there's just some perspective issues going on here, like some miscommunications and just some bad days, and mom obviously got her feelings hurt when teacher was like, okay, volunteers aren't necessarily getting done what needs to get done, I'm gonna step in and fill this role and arrange all the classes the way they need to go. I think mom definitely got her feelings hurt. I don't know if teacher crossed a line or not, but I still don't think mom's a bad person for being concerned and wanting to make sure that the kid was never put in a situation where their feelings would be hurt by that teacher, if that makes sense. So I'm going good apple for that reason. That was a lot of rambling. I'm so sorry. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for not wanting to share my birthday with my twin anymore? I, 16 female, will be 17 in 3 days. I was born a twin. My brother unfortunately passed just hours after our birth. He was 5 minutes older than me. I was told my mother went into a deep depression, but with help, got better over time. I've watched videos of my birthday from ages 1 to 6 years old, and I started sharing a birthday with my brother at my first birthday. There were always 5 minutes of silent remembrance of him to honor him and his memory, and instead of having 1 candle on my cake, there would be an extra candle or extras for him. Like, for example, when I turned 1, there was 1 candle for me and 1 for him. When I was 2, there was 2 candles for me and 2 candles for him, and so on. As a kid, I didn't really understand or mind this because I just got to blow out extra candles. But when I was 8, I did question it, and they told me it was in remembrance to my brother since we shared the same birthday. This carried on until my 16th birthday, where I didn't get to celebrate because I ended up in the hospital. My grandfather showed up to my hospital while I was recovering with a gift and wished me, and only me, a happy birthday. When he left, I realized that I loved that he acknowledged just me. I realized I didn't want to keep sharing my birthday with my brother. I felt kind of guilty, and I did try to speak to my parents about just me celebrating me for my birthday this year, but I was just kind of brushed off. Now we come to what happened 4 days ago. My grandfather, who's the official cake maker in the family, asked what kind of cake I wanted. I told him and added firmly that I only want 17 candles this year, no extras. My parents were in the other room and immediately came in asking, "What are you doing? Don't you know the other 17 candles are for your brother?" I ended up crying and I told them he's not here anymore, but I am. Why can't we just celebrate me? I can't remember everything that was said, but there was a lot of shouting at me and my grandpa and my parents, and I got called selfish, and I was told I need to stop being self-centered. My grandfather took me and left, and I've been at his house since the big fight. I've been crying a lot, and my grandpa's been here for me, but I feel so guilty. Am I the bad apple? No. Grief is such a weird thing, and it's so powerful, and it does weird things to people. I can already see people in the comments talking about how awful those parents are and blah 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 blah, and I'm gonna take a guess and assume that a lot of those people typing that are very young, because I am a 27-year-old childless millennial, and I cannot even grasp the idea of what it would feel like for a child to pass, right? I will start crying thinking about something happening to her or her brother. I can't even imagine a child. And I feel like the adults here watching are kind of right. You can deal with and manage, but it's not something that you just get over. And I'm not saying that they were right to keep making you share your birthday with your brother. Obviously, I think you 100% should and deserve to have your own birthday. But I think that in their own way of trying to remember and honor their lost child, I think that your birthday has kind of turned into a ceremony of grief for them, of their way to acknowledge their grief, and it's just unfortunately been attached to that day. Not that it should be, and not that it should continue to be, but that I feel like that's just what has happened. And let's all remember, I'm not a trained psychologist or anything like that. I'm not certified to say any of these things. I just want everyone to understand that. There's probably better ways to say what I'm saying, but I'm not a professional. I think that there's this disconnect, that you saying, I don't want to celebrate my birthday with my brother anymore, to them, I feel like what they're hearing and feeling is, I don't want to honor my brother. And I feel like they're unable to like separate the two. Like they're not able to separate right now this idea of, let's remember Jimmy and let's celebrate me. Like that's something that they are going to need to talk through and work through, like probably with a professional, not like me, like an actual professional. And I don't think that that's anyone's fault. I think grief is just awful, you know? And again, a lot of you guys know, like it's not the same, and it's not even like my direct family member, but you know, seeing Avery go through it with his mom passing a few years ago and seeing him and his dad and his brother, like grief is just, it does things to people, and sometimes they're not explainable. And I think that, you know, with this being very fresh, it's only been a few days, I feel like giving the parent some time to be able to separate the two issues is good, because like whether it's grief or addiction or, you know, like depression, there's a lot of things that go on with people that I think explains behavior. It doesn't necessarily always justify behavior, if that makes sense. So, you know, in this case, I think at first, you know, giving them the benefit of the doubt, letting them realize, oh, shoot, we need to separate these two issues, and then letting them come around to the idea. But if they continue to hold strong and won't talk with a therapist or won't sit and talk with you about separating the idea of, I still want to honor my brother, I just want to celebrate me, also myself, like I deserve to have like everyone deserves to have a little bit of a spotlight on their birthday. You know, everyone wants to feel special. And I think that if they just blatantly refuse to like hear you out about that after the initial, like, you know, sometimes grief will just hit you. And I feel like that might have been what happened during that screaming match. I personally would give them the benefit of the doubt, let them process, let them see. Like, I'm not saying I don't want to honor my brother and remember him or grieve him. I'm just saying that I want a little bit of me time for me that isn't attached to grieving somebody, and let them hear you out. And if they refuse to hear you out, okay, that is a different story. That's a different conversation. But I personally would see if they will hear you out first once they like come out of the initial shock and emotional like, what? Because again, grief just does weird things to people. I don't, as of right now, with this information, not knowing how they're going to respond in a day or two, I don't think there's anyone that's like the worst person ever. You know what I mean? But if there are trained professionals out there or people who have some insight on any of these kinds of situations, I would love to hear what you guys think. Because again, you guys are trained. I'm not. But I'm going good apple. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for getting my friend in trouble at her workplace? My friend is a dental assistant, and the other day I had an appointment at the office she works at. First off, I love the dentist there, okay? And my friend who works there is the one who recommended him to me a couple years ago. Well, the other day at my appointment, my friend was attending to me, and the little blue bib that goes around your neck that they sometimes put tools and instruments on, yeah, that fell on the floor. Instead of throwing it in the trash, she just put it right back on my chest and clipped it around my neck. Oh. At the time, I was shocked, and my mouth was sore and inflamed, and I was getting ready to tell her, please throw it out, but she walked out of the room to go get something. The dentist then walked in with another assistant, and he was getting ready to work on me, and I immediately lifted my hand and asked him, can you please get me a new bib? He asked, why? What's wrong with that one? I explained that it fell on the floor and I didn't really want it on my body. He said, I'm so sorry that happened. My staff is definitely supposed to throw it in the trash in that case. Well, yesterday I found out that my friend was reprimanded for this, and now I feel really bad. A few months ago, my friend confided in me that someone else had complained because she took out clean new gloves that were wrinkled out of her scrubs pocket at work, and a patient complained because they thought they were dirty. She's a single mom, and she's having issues with her son who has behavioral health issues and has been aggressive towards her, and she just really needs this job. Last night, Another mutual friend contacted me and told me our dental assistant friend is furious with me and wants me to stop going to the dentist. At least her dentist. Should I just not have said anything? Like, was I the bad apple? Okay, before we even start, first of all, everything going on with her son, I wish her all the best, but it has nothing to do with this story. Nothing, okay? It just doesn't. Second of all, her friend having another complaint a few months ago also has nothing to do with you complaining. If anything, it shows that there's now like a pattern, because she can say all day, well, they were clean, they were just in my pocket. But like, how often do people put their phone in their pocket, or their keys, or their lipstick or lip gloss? Like, those aren't sterile things. So like, when you put on gloves to work on people and mess with people and like touch their bodies, you're supposed to be grabbing gloves because they're clean and they haven't been like messing with your phone or messing with whatever, you know? Like, it's not just to keep your hands from getting germs, it's also to keep your germs from getting on another person. Like, it's a two-way kind of thing, you know? So like, I also would have not liked a doctor just pulling out gloves from their pocket that also has like God knows what else in it, right? I would have rioted. I would not have let that woman put a napkin from the floor on my body, okay? Listen. My mom, bless her heart, Michelle, I'm so sorry. I love you. Everyone we know knows this, okay? It's fine. My mom is a germaphobe, like 100%. I'm not a germaphobe, but I was raised by a germaphobe, okay? So like, middle way. I would not have let this woman put a napkin from the floor on my body. Like, absolutely not. And it's not like you specifically called and were like, this dental assistant, blah, 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 blah. No, you were letting them know before they started putting the instruments that were gonna go in your mouth on this napkin that was on the floor, hey, can I get a different one? And they just said, why? And you just said, it fell on the floor. Well, then why is it on your body? Well, she put it back on my body. If she didn't want to get in trouble for it, she shouldn't have done it. Like, there's not a 5-second rule for medical equipment, okay? For medical things, like, it's not like, oh, my cracker fell on the floor, it's fine. Like, no. Because first of all, you don't mess around with that stuff. You just don't. Second of all, it's not her body the stuff's going into. She can't make that call for you. If she wants to do that for her, great, whatever. That's not my business. But it's absolutely gross for her to expect that putting a napkin that was on the floor on your body and then laying the instruments that are gonna go in your mouth on that napkin. Like, no, absolutely not. That, I wouldn't even consider that a friend. And for her to be mad at you for not just dealing with it, no. I would have rioted. You don't care about that stuff. Like, you lick everything. What's even worse is that this woman is in the dental field. Would you like classify that under medical also? I don't know. But she's in the dental field. She knows it's unsanitary. She still made the choice anyways. And then when you advocated for yourself, instead of like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going through a rough time, blah, 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 I'm not thinking straight. She got mad at you and wants you to just go find a different dentist? Why is it that when you're not doing your job properly, someone else has to go? Someone else has to go. Like, if you can't do your job properly, maybe you should go. Like, everyone has stuff going on at home, right? But that doesn't mean that you get to put your patients in unsanitary conditions because you're going through stuff. Like, that's negligent. That's gross. Like, that's giving me the heebie-jeebies. And I'm going good apple all the way. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for cussing out my girlfriend? I, 29 male, have been with my girlfriend Andrea, 29 female, for a few months. Everything's been going pretty smoothly until yesterday when she pulled off a ridiculous stunt. She called me late at night to say that she was seriously injured and having panic attacks and that no one was home with her as her parents were out of town, which was true, they weren't home. But she said she was getting chest pain and thought that she might be having a heart attack. Could she even be dying? That she was in a really bad state and that she already called 911, but she really needed me to go over and help her and sit with her because she was so scared and just needed me. That help was on the way, but she just wanted to let me know what was going on with her. I was shocked. I immediately took to my car and rushed towards her house, and it was only after reaching it that I found out she was joking. She met me joyfully at the front and said,
I just wanted to see how committed you are during an emergency, as, you know, that's just an essential part of a relationship.
or something along those lines. I was pissed. I lost my temper and asked her what the her problem was. She said, I was just testing you and you got all pissed off. I called her a and told her that I didn't deserve to be treated like trash and used like that for a joke. She started crying and saying that she only wanted to check whether I was a good fit or not and that I overreacted. I left the house immediately and haven't talked to her since, and she's been texting me, but I just ignored her. So, was I the bad apple? I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I've said this in so many episodes and podcast episodes. Like, I cannot stand pranks like that. Like, they're not funny. In what world would you find joy in causing someone that you care about to be that stressed and upset and anxious? Like, you cause them to be in a state of panic and you let them get in the car and drive like that? Like, that's when car accidents happen. That's not funny. That kind of stress that goes on a person's body, like, I'll never understand what's so funny about upsetting people you care about, like causing them genuine anguish. I hate it. I think that's such a red flag. To me, that's such a red flag. I can't. I don't think there's any overreaction. I would say that, you know, she wanted to see if you were a good fit. I think she's not a good fit. I personally would not stay in that. And to each their own, and everyone has their different like boundaries and lines that can and can't be crossed. But for me, like someone who would just genuinely enjoy upsetting me like that, after just a few months, like that's what she thinks is fun. And like how selfish and entitled. Well, I just wanted to see if like I deemed you upset enough. Like if I was in trouble, would you be upset enough? Like, no, I can't. Nope. I'm speechless, guys. Like that to me is just such gross behavior. I'm not a fan at all. I think I got the same votes as last week. I got 4 good apples in total. At least that's what I got. I would love to know if you guys got anything similar or different. As you guys know, I don't get to respond to everything, but I do read them. So let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your reasonings if you disagree with me on any of the votes. But it looks like I am starting my new year. Ooh, did you hear that? Did you hear my arms crack like that? Yikes. Anyways, it looks like I am starting my New Year's off on the right foot with a whole apple pie of good apples. And again, as always, if you would like a chance for your story to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can submit it to our subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple. And before I get to your well wishes, I have a very, very serious question. We all know that Reddit was kind enough to send me a snoo, and we named him Fred. Discord was kind enough to send us a Wampus, and we named him George. Did I mix that up? This is George. This is Fred. I mixed that up. I did. I'm so sorry. I love you guys very much. YouTube has sent me, I don't know if you saw the short video that I posted or not, but YouTube sent me this bear. It is also a speaker. I haven't tested it out yet, but he needs a name. And I made a short about this the other day, and I've gotten a lot of suggestions. And some of the biggest suggestions on every platform is that I have to continue with Weasley names. So there are 3 options, but there are 2 that I like the best, okay? Obviously, and option 1 is Percy the bear. These are the 2 that I like the best, because I did some digging. I don't know where it comes from, but apparently Arthur's name means bear. I did not know that. Or William, Bill for short. I would even consider Billiam, but like I heard that Bill's name. I read that Bill's name is actually William and Bill for short. Bill the bear, Billiam the bear. I'd do that. You know I can't make decisions. I'm like really bad at making decisions. So let me know down in the comments what our bear friend's name will be. Look, they even put my name on the case. Isn't that so cute? I love YouTube so much. They love me. They make me feel so loved. And for your well wishes, it's the start of the new year, and I just hope that your new year starts out on the right foot, on the right apple stem. If you on the right apple, on the right stem, on the right leaf. Sometimes apples have like a little leaf on them. Whatever the phrase may be, I wish you guys the best year ever. I hope you guys set some goals that you're really excited for this year. I don't know, should we have some goals for our channel? This year, my goal is to get 2024, we're gonna see 3 million on YouTube. Yeah. That's my goal. And I would love to hear some of yours down in the comments also. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and hope to see you all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.